Welcome everyone. My name is Jeanette McIver, and today we'll be working with Microsoft Power BI Business Intelligence and Analytics. Power BI is a collection of software services and apps that allow you to create immersive and interactive insights for your data. When working with Power BI, there's three versions that you can work with. We have the desktop version, we have the services version as well, Power BI Services, and you also have Power BI Mobile. As far as the visualizations that we'll be working with today, we'll be creating charts, we'll be working with maps, and we'll be working with cards, as well as slicers. So today I just want to give you a quick overview of how Power BI works. And also you can visit our website, as well as our YouTube channel. So first, what I want to do, I want you to analyze our data. The data that we'll be working with is related to British cars. So we have quite a bit of information here, and this information is coming from Excel. And in working with Excel, let's just see how much data we actually have. Have well over 400 rows of information, and we need to view this data using visuals, whether we're using column charts or slicers or maps. And we want to do that through Power BI. But first, I want to show you the end result. The end result is what we have here. Once again, working with car sales information, you'll see that we have sales based on the country and year, which is a matrix. We're going to go in and create a column chart as well. Going to work with a map. And the great part about this is this information is interactive. So I have a slicer here, and clicking on the slicer, you'll see how it drills down my data. I'm only looking at information associated with Rolls-Royce. Should I click on Jaguar, you'll see the same. So this is the end result, and now we're going to go in and produce this. So guys, let's get started. And working in Power BI, I'm going to go to Reports, and I want to get my data. Now, as far as getting my data, keep in mind, we have, well, there are so many different data sources that you can pull information from and bring into Power BI, whether it's Excel, whether it's text files. If we come down and we click on More, and clicking on More, your window is going to open, and it's going to give you a list of all the different data sources that you could bring in. So whether it's database files or whether it's coming from online services, options. Now I'm going to go back up to all because my data is going to be pulling from Excel. So I'm going to click on Excel Workbook, and guys are going to tell it to connect. Now navigating to where I have my data, let me quickly grab that data. Car sales. And then once it processes the information, as you can see, it's connecting to our data now. Once the connection has been made, we'll get the Navigator window. And working in the Navigator window, it'll give me the file that I'm connected to, car sales, and then it'll give me a list of worksheets within that file. We only have one, which is base data. And clicking on base data, it allows you to preview your information before you bring it into your Power BI window. Now, in bringing your information in, you have two options here. You can load your data or you can transform data. And the difference between the two, in working with load, we're saying that our data is, I won't say perfect, but it is ready to go for visuals. But when you know that you need to clean up your data, then you'd go into transform. So we're going to start out with load. And as it's loading the information, should you choose, you start out with load and you realize that you need to go to transform, you can always change your view. So as you can see now, my data is still loading. It's creating or connecting to my data model. We're just going to let it process. And after it finishes processing, then we're going to create our visuals. So it says for right now, we have 457 of data. Once the process is completed, sitting over on your data panel, this is where you'll see your data. We've currently connected to base data. I'm going to click on the arrow to expand it. And from there, it'll give us a list of all of our fields, all of our field names. Now keep in mind, as far as working with these field names, you can easily identify your data types. Prime example, when you look at cost price or you look at delivery charge, you have your sigma symbol sitting there, and that represents a number field. Taking note of invoice date as well as registration date, you'll notice you have like a little calendar, a date and time field. And for right now, everything else in here are text fields. And building out your visuals, of course, we have our canvas area here. Now, when you bring in a text field first, it will create a table. Should you bring in a number field first, it will create a chart and it will create a column chart. Or should you bring in a geographical field, it's going to create a map. But no worries. If you start out with the wrong visual, you can always change it out to another visual in the visualization panel. So what we want to do, I want to start out with my column chart. And in working with my column chart, I'm just going to drag delivery charge directly into the canvas area. And once we do that, the placeholder will pop in, letting it process. And guys, if you notice over in the visualization pane, you're going to have your axis, you have your x-axis, and you have your y-axis. Notice on the y-axis it put delivery charge and summing it by default. It will always sum it until you tell it otherwise. Now I want to put something on the x-axis. So I'm just going to physically drag model directly over into my x-axis. As it processes, you will see my data change, and I'm also just going to resize my visual. So with this one, we're looking at sum of delivery charges by model. And how they have it, it's sorted, and I want mine to be sorted based on my model. So in adjusting my sort, we have our three little dots here, which represents more. We're clicking there. You're going to see sort axis. I want to sort it based on model. You'll see my data adjust. And in sorting it based on model, which happens to be my x-axis, I want to put that in ascending order. So we're going to return right back to our three dots for more options. Going back to sort axis, and we're going to tell it ascending order. So now I have my first visual. Now, just doing some cosmetic changes to it. Let's just say the title that we currently have. I want to take out that sum of delivery. How do we do that? For each visual that you have, you can customize it. With this visual currently being selected, I'm coming over to my visualization panel, and you have three icons. The one we're currently working with right now talks about add data to your visual. But the one that we want to work with to customize, it says format your visuals. So we're going to click there. Now in clicking there, it's going to be broken down into two categories. You have your visuals and you have your general. For right now, I'm going to go into general. And in working with general, you will see that we have our title already turned on. I'm going to expand it. And I'm going to adjust the title, so I'm removing the sum of. And for delivery charge, I want to put a space there. And you'll see that it's adjusting directly in our title as we work here. Whether I decide that I want to center the title, we have the center, or should I decide that maybe I want to change the color. So these are all these cosmetic features that you can work with. So I have my first visual. Now I want to go in and create my second one. In creating the second one, I'm going to click in my canvas area so there's no visual selected. And I'm going to come over and I want to find matrix. So I'm going to click on matrix. And guys, in working with the matrix, that kind of reminds me of pivot tables. What you have in your row versus what you have in your column. And when you have your row and your column meets, that's where it gives you your actual data. So what I'm looking for, I'm going to get the country name. I'm going to take country name and I'm going to put it in the row. As you can see, I'm physically dragging it. As far as my column, I'm looking for reporting year. And then I need to have that value. The value that we're going to be working with is sales price. So we're going to drag in sales price. And how we see this now, We're looking at our matrix based on our country, their year, and what the value is. Now let's make a few adjustments. I think I want to put a title in. Okay. So in putting my title in, once again, we're going back to our icon, which talks about format your visual. Just going to click there. We're going to work on the general category. Right now, if you notice, title is turned off, so let's toggle that on, and then let's expand it. You're going to have a placeholder here for text to type in your title. So I'm going to say country sales, let's say by year. Okay, country sales by year. And with that, once again, whether we're going to center it, make the necessary adjustments. Okay. One thing I think or adjustment that I want to make is I want to put an effect on. So if I expand effects, we can see with this, we can have borders. I'm going to turn that on. And when I click away, you'll see it puts a border. Hmm, that's not what I'm looking for. So let's go back to that visual and let's go back to our format icon. And we're still working in the category of general, going back to effects. I'm going to turn off borders, but I want to work with shadow. So let's turn shadow on. Let's expand shadow to see what the properties are. Whether you want to change the color of your shadow. Okay. As far as this offset where it's being positioned, outside or inside. And also your position of your shadow, whether or not you want it on the bottom, the top, center, what have you. I'm going to keep mine bottom right. So I have my chart. I have my matrix. And the other two visuals that I want to bring in, I want to bring in a map. So this time in bringing in a map, what we're going to do, I'm just going to find my country name field and I'm just going to drag it directly into the canvas area. Remember, I told you that if you drag a geographical field in, it's going to create a map automatically. So now I want to base this map on, let's base it on the sell price. We drag sell price in. And guys, with this, you'll see that your bubbles, they get a little bit bigger based on what your sales price is. As we hover over these guys, you can see for USA, or if I hover over United Kingdom, these are just our tooltips. So now we have three. We have three visuals. We have our matrix, which we have at the bottom here. We have our chart, and we also have our map. So in bringing in one more element, or I should say maybe two more elements, I want to bring in a card. And a card is just a single piece of data, a single piece of information. I'm going to click in an empty area. And in clicking in that empty area, I'm coming over to my visualization panel and I'm looking for card. We click on card. And then it's just a matter of what data we want to put there. And I'm just going to drag in spare parts. I'm also going to resize that. It doesn't need to be that wide, so we make the necessary adjustment. The other thing, to help me easily um, analyze my data, I want to bring in a slicer. So I think most of us will probably use slicers in Excel, just another visual way of analyzing data. So let's find our slicer. Going to click on our slicer. And in our slicer, I'm going to base this off of model. I'm just going to resize this a bit as well. So with the slicer, guys, what it allows us to do, if I click on Jaguar, notice all the other individuals, they interact with each other. So I can see my makes for Jaguar. I can see my sales based on my countries and my year, and also in my map as well. I can also see the sum of my spare parts as far as working with Jaguar. Maybe I want Jaguar and Bentley. I'm going to hold down the control key and click on Bentley. And once again, you'll see the adjustment. Now to actually go in and reset to get all of my data back, in my slicer, we're just going to click on the clear. So it just resets everything. Now with this, I have the shadow on my matrix, but I also want that same shadow on my chart that I have here. So instead of having to go back into properties and make the necessary adjustment, what we're going to do, I'm going to click on my matrix. On our ribbon, we have our Format Painter. Your Format Painter is designed to copy formatting. So the formatting that I applied to my matrix, I want that same look applied to my 3D chart. So I'm clicking on Format Painter. And guys, when I bring my mouse pointer down into my visual, notice the paintbrush is attached. And I'm just going to click on my chart. And now notice how it has that 3D effect or the shadow effect as well. Now I'm making some adjustments as far as cosmetics. Let's just say for each one of our countries in our map, we want to have a different color. So clicking on the map, what we're going to do, we're going to customize. And in customizing, once again, I think I'm going to adjust the title. Okay. And I also said I want to adjust the color. With the map being selected, we're coming right back over to format your visual. First, I think I'm going to work with bubbles. If we click on bubbles, so this is where we can go in and adjust the size of our bubbles. Like maybe I'll make mine just a hair bigger. Okay, you can see them adjusting. And then right below that, you will see where it talks about color. Should we click on color? By default, everything is blue. But you're also going to see where it says show all. And show all, let's toggle it to on. And now for each one of our countries, this is where we can customize our colors. So let's just say for United Kingdom, I'm going to make that gold. Just going to grab a few quickly. Let's make this a deeper blue, United States, France. Let's get this purple color here. So, and guys, as you can see, making the adjustments, and in making those adjustments, we are changing the colors of each one of our countries. I also said that I want to go in and I want to adjust the title. So we know that falls under the general category. Let's click on title to expand. Let's get rid of that sum of. Let's delete that. Let's put a space between price and let's move over a little bit further and let's get a space between country name. And I think I do want to center that as well. Okay. So as we click away, we can see that we have our necessary settings. Now, should you decide that maybe you want to customize your slider, your slicer. And working with the slicer, what we can do, going right back to format. And with that, let's go into slicer settings. So with this, what we have right now, as far as the style, we have a vertical list. Maybe instead of vertical, since this is a short list, how about tiled? What do you guys think of tiled? So if I resize it, so with this, as I click on each one of these guys, you can see that it's drilling down. Actually, I think I like tiled since my list is very short here. So I'm just going to clear that out. And then some other settings that you can work with. If we come over and we click on your slicer heading, which we do have a heading right now, it says make. I think that once again, in working with this one, maybe I want to put a background color there. So just showing you as far as formatting, guys. Okay. And with that, when you put some formatting on and you realize you don't like it, or I don't remember, exactly what settings I did here, let's just say I changed the color too, just to make a point. Let's go in and let's make it this red. I realize I don't want that. So I don't want to have to go to each one of the properties and change it. Guys, if you notice, which I'm pointing to now, it talks about reset to default. So resetting to default, all those properties that we just put on related to text, it's just going right in and cleaning those guys out for us. Okay. So this is kind of the nuances of working with Power BI, just giving you a quick feel of how it works, making you aware that you can also customize that data as well. Okay. So I do thank you for joining me. I hope to see you soon in one of our classes. keep in mind you can always go to our website, SoftTech DC, or you can go to our channel as well. Thank you again.